Today is the day you will fall in love with food in a whole new way. So let's take this journey together. Are you ready? If so, let's go.
Welcome to the Chef Fitzgerald Show. This is Chef Fitzgerald, and we have a caller on the line. Caller, what is your question?
Chef G, I was just wondering, how do you make your Alfredo so good? Whenever I make mine, the sauce don't stick right.
Oh, it don't stick. So let me think about this. When you're dealing with a sauce or a roux, as they call it, a lot of combinations comes in with it. You can deal with your half and half or your whipped cream. You can do anything you want.
Okay.
And you can use your basic vitamin D milk. Something that'll send you the creamy of it. Because when you're dealing with chicken Alfredo, the creaminess is the basis of it, besides the chicken and noodles. So once you,
Okay.
yeah, if it seems like your cream sauce or your roux is not thick enough, you can add yourself some starch or some shifted flour, all purpose, and that'll work. But you have to be
So even if I don't have homemade sauce, if I have store-bought sauce, I can make it thicker that way too.
yeah, even with store-bought sauce, a lot of times we want to add something to it because with different palates, it lacks certain things. So if it seems like it's too thin, yes, you can add that starch or you can add that flour, but it has to be shifted flour when you're using that because it aerates it. And aerated brings creaminess, brings a froth to it.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Caller, what is your question?
Hi, Chef Fitzgerald. My question is, I want to know how can I use fresh herbs in a way that is different than using dried herbs to elevate some of the recipes that I currently do, maybe take them to another level.
Yeah. Oh well, when you're dealing with herbs, it's best to deal with fresh. But there's some herbs that sit in time and they're like wine. They're better. But
Okay.
it's your discernment on what you're cooking and how you're cooking it. Because if you're dealing with a slow roasting, you can deal with so many like basil, thyme, rosemary. You can use so many of these different things. But
Are there better herbs to use for like beef and or like seafood?
oh yes, and now between the beef and seafood, they're very diverse. They're different ones. Like if you're dealing with a beef, you're gonna deal with a more robust herb, something that's gonna grab a hold of it, and make it thrive. Now we know garlic does what it does to everything, right?
Right.
Then we take a certain pepper. People take a ground unit peppers, and that's what's really good when you're dealing with a steak. Because what it does, it brings that robust out of it. That's why you want to deal with your pink salts and your garlic salts. These are things that's gonna bring that robust because it's a dense type of meat. So when you're dealing with that type of dense type of meat, you want to go penetrate it. So you have to have these ground units that are thick enough to penetrate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
I really appreciate that information.
Yes. Anything else you need to know?
When roasting your vegetables, what kind of oil do you think would complement them the best?
Now, you say you want to roast them or are you blanching them? What are you doing?
I would like to roast them in the oven.
Oh, roast them in the
And I know
oven.
people use a lot of olive oil, but sometimes like extra virgin.
Extra virgin, yes, ma'am. It is extra virgin olive oil that will do you a lot of good, because what it does in the oven, it has time and its thickness to go ahead and penetrate every bit of the fiber of that vegetation, even in the meat if you utilize it in, especially with fish or chicken.
Is it better to marinate like liquid, or is it better to use a dry rub when you're like roasting your meat, roast or like roast beef or cuts of meat?
Okay, well, when you're dealing with cuts of meat, you do want to use a roux, but when you're using a slab or a nice size of meat, you want to use it dry because you want it to have time to seep and go ahead and combine and attach to that meat.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Caller, you're on the line. What's your question?
Hi, my name is Nisha. I'm from Alabama. My question is about preparing coconut shrimp. So my first question is, I have a hard time getting the batter and the breadcrumbs and coconut shrimp to stick to my meat. I also have the same problem with frying chicken. So I wanted to know, what is your recommendation or your preferences for keeping the flour or the mixture to stick to the shrimp, the coconuts to stick to the shrimp?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, when you're dealing with meat and you want to do frying, you have to take to the level of make sure you use your flour and make sure you use it's like an egg wash. It's egg and water that you mix that you have to utilize after dipping it in your flour. Because once you dip it in your flour, then your egg wash, then you can dip it in your breadcrumbs or back in your flour, however you want to do. But that's the best way for it to stick to your meat.
Okay. My next question is for oil and greases. Because, nowadays they have different types of oil. They have almond oil, they have olive oil, and they have coconut oil. Okay. Which oils do you think would be a good use for this specific dish?
Well, for this dish that you're speaking of, it's the coconut shrimp, right?
Yes.
I would go with coconut oil because it'll bring out the flavor in the coconut chips when you're actually frying it in that grease. It'll bring more area and bring it back to life, Instead of being dry, it'll show you their true colors pretty much.
Wow, thanks. My last question is for the temp. Now, my mom always told me to never cook grease on high. But for this dish, I know it doesn't take a lot of cooking time, and I know that if I cook it on low, it might not come out as crispy as I like it. Now, what is your suggestion for its timing and temp-wise?
Okay, so when you're dealing with temp-wise on that, you want to try to get it at a nice medium, but you don't want it too high like your mom said, because too high you can burn it, you can disrupt it. But this is shrimp and it doesn't take long to cook, so I would keep it at a low, a medium high, not a medium high, but a medium low temperature, so you can get it the way it needs to be. And when you're dealing with shrimp, like you said, it doesn't take long. I mean, you can do it within 12 minutes and have your shrimp ready to go.
I can't wait to use all these tips you gave me, and I thank you for taking this time out to help me.
All right, no problem. You enjoy the rest of your day. Caller, tell me what's going on. Let's go.
What's going on, Chef Fitzgerald? It's your boy Dirty Clean here. I had a question on, man. I enjoy fish, eating everybody else's fish, but I would like to make my own fish one day, prepare my own dish for my family. Okay. So I would like to know what would be a good fish to start with and something that's not bone fish, really.
Well, as you know, that all fish are bone fish, so they have to be deboned if you're getting it from any butcher. But if you're catching it for yourself, you have to debone it. But the best one to have I would go with would always be with salmon. And salmon is something that you can grill and you can go ahead and splash fry at any time.
All right, salmon. Okay, now what would be a good season to do with this salmon? Should it just be like some butter, or maybe some fish rub, maybe? What would be a good secret thing to wow the tongue?
Well, when you're dealing with salmon, you basically want to use your garlic, you want to use your lemon, you want to use your basic salt and pepper, and then whatever you want to wow out with, that'll make your taste buds really go on that journey.
All right. I appreciate that one.
No doubt.
So now, like, how long should I prepare this for? Maybe a half hour? Will it take a little less than that?
Well, when you're dealing with any type of fish, it's not a long process because they're like a thin mussel type of. So you can actually cook fish with just lemon juice alone. But just to know that I say about 20 minutes, 22 minutes for you to splash fry some salmon with no problem.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice time on that.
Yes, sir.
Now, so a good side dish would keep it rice, simple. I like to keep it really healthy without going too much overboard with starch.
Now, when you're dealing with rice, I'm going to tell you this. You always rinse it. Because when you rinse rice and the fluffiness that comes with it when you're dealing with fish, it'll take you on a whole nother level.
All right, fish and rice, salmon and rice. All right, Fitzgerald, man, I appreciate this dish. I'm going to try this tonight. If I have any problems, what would be a good way to actually get in touch? I mean, in case I need some help with this real quick, are you available like that, or?
Well, yes, I'm available. You can reach me on my website, cheffitzgeraldsjourney.com.